good evening, and welcome to Live from the Living Room with John Brennan. Thank you so much for having me here. This first song is from the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs. Here we go. Hey everybody, have you heard the news? Joe Bob is back in town. He's over at the drive-in, hanging around, watching crazy movies, so come on down to Joe Bob's last drive-in show. Blood, beasts, boobies, and more. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. It's a spooky marathon with monsters and ghosts. Crazy, kooky fun with the world's greatest host. Yeah, Joe Bob's last drive-in show. It's gonna be legendary. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. It's gonna be very scary. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. Let's go. Thank you so much. That was from the last drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs called Joe Bob is Back in Town. This is John Brennan live from the living room. Thank you so much for having me. I'll be doing a few songs and also having some talks with the people who made this happen. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sweating.
Hey guys, that was Joe Bob's Back in Town by John Brennan, and who has graciously accepted to do an interview with us, as well as provide some songs for a little mini concert. Thanks so much, John, for joining us tonight on Screamstream.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. This is an absolute pleasure. Doing the live from the living room was also an absolute pleasure. We got some more of that coming up, and I was not on any drugs whatsoever. It was completely sober.
Lawyer approved.
Lawyerly.
Dare, sponsored by Dare. This stream was brought to you by the U.S. Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and
That's
Explosives. Right. We weren't going to change our acronym. It's just going to stay ATF. The more you know.
So, since we just played that song, let's talk about that one for a little bit. When you were brought on to do the music for the very first marathon, to do the theme, what did you have any inspiration as far as other previous songs that you pulled from, inspirations you pulled from for this particular theme song?
Yes, actually, a lot. So one was obviously Tearing the Heart Out of Saturday Night, which is a masterpiece. I mean, it's such a great theme song. And when I was writing this one, I was kind of afraid that I wouldn't be able to usurp that one, or at least be equal to. But I started to think a little bit, and for me, since I'm a little kid, the Muppets have been a humongous inspiration for me, especially the first Muppet movie where Paul Williams co-wrote the score and the songs from that movie, Rainbow Connection. But the one that's the most famous in my mind, or the one that's the most inspiring to me, was the song Moving Right Along, where they're traveling down the road, and it's just like a really bouncy song, whatever. So anything that I do, I sort of am informed by that score and that song in particular. And when I was trying to conjure up an image for the Joe Bob is Back in Town, I thought about what it would be like if right next to a drive-in there was a graveyard, and there was a bunch of like monsters that were Muppets that were rising from the grave, celebrating the fact and singing that Joe Bob is back in town. Yeah. And I pitched that idea to Austin and the producers, Justin Martell and Matt Mandrides. Of course, we didn't have the budget to do that vision, but at least the song gets the feel of a bunch of felt-made monsters
right,
celebrating that Joe Bob has returned.
Well, I think the beloved classic Santa Claus is Coming to Town was inspired by your creation.
You're right. It's the opposite way.
I think you inspired the original.
The time traveler is that
I
guy.
think yours is more appropriate because the holidays are quite horrifying for most people.
Oh,
honestly.
I hate it's Christmas is much more terrifying than Halloween will ever be. Ever. But yeah, that was basically it. And then as far as like the acoustic version, Austin wanted to do first. His first inspiration was to do "Tearing the Heart Out of Saturday Night," like a nice classical guitar. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the songwriter to gain the rights to it at the time. Still, I don't even know if they found him yet. But we got a guy. Was that?
his family misses him. Please find him.
Oh yeah, please find the man who wrote "Tearing the Heart Out of Saturday Night." Like, not just for his family, but for the fans. We want to use that song. So then we got this guy Levi White, who I was working with at Troma at the time, Troma, and he was just a great guitar player, and he finger picked the hell out of it, and now he makes people cry.
Now, out of context, that wouldn't hold up in court.
Nope. I will go roll it back. He's not an abusive person to anyone he knows and loves in the real world. He makes people cry with the music.
Yes. Not his hands.
People apparently thought at the end of that first marathon, when Joe Bob put the hat down and the lights dimmed and the acoustic version came on of Joe Bob is Back in Town, they thought it was the end. Mm-hmm. And that's a very sad thing. Although Austin says, the director, that when Monster Vision went off the air, it was just like there was no warning, there was no nothing. He sat down on a Saturday night, had his pizza, whatever, was ready to roll, and it just didn't show up. So he wanted to give a proper ending. So even if we don't nail the landing whenever the last drive-in ends, you could always look back to that first marathon, and that's the proper send-off for Joe Bob Briggs.
That's true. Yeah, because lots of people did think that was going to be it's just gonna be like a one and done type situation, and
it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
thanks to the fans, and thanks to the reaction to that marathon and how it started to trend on Twitter, and the so-called broke the internet, all that stuff. That's the reason why Shudder then came and said, we actually want to do a real season of this and a couple of marathons. So worked out in the end for all of us.
Right. Yeah. Now you mentioned Troma. You have a long history with Troma. Could you speak on that a little bit about how you got into being involved with Troma and all of that jazz?
Sure, I could speak for hours about Troma.
Picking for Lloyd.
Yeah, Lloyd is just one of the greatest people I ever met. He's like so super funny as a person, not just the Uncle Lloydie persona, but Lloyd Kaufman himself. Mm-hmm. Every day that I worked at Troma, I had a huge belly laugh, and just, there was crying too, but that's besides the point. It was all worth it for the laughter.
There's a lot of crying. You do a lot of crying.
I do cry all the time. It's like everywhere I go, it's like a therapy session. No matter who I meet, I just start to cry, and then
you make good money on doing that, It's therapeutic.
Cry on cue. And I don't think about anything but my life. I don't have to think about my dog dying or anything. It's just I go, my life, and then I go, oh, and that's the way it goes. But as far as Troma, I actually went to Troma in an odd time. I had lived in LA for about 8.5, 9 years, and I was trying to be a screenwriter, but I was very focused and narrow-minded about it. I didn't sell anything, but I wrote some decent screenplays that got me indoors, but I never sold anything. So I came back to New York. And in my mid-30s, after going to like UCB to meet people, which is the Upright Citizens Brigade, that's like a comedy school, sort of paying to play, I finally said, you know what, fuck it. I always remembered Troma, and I saw that Lloyd was tweeting about like being an observer volunteer. They don't call them interns. They call them observer volunteers for some sort of legal reasons. Yes. And I went there as an editing volunteer. And I edited a bunch of like Lloyd's Make Your Own Damn Movie shorts. And that was how the collaboration began. So I went on and off to Troma throughout the years. And then at one point, Lloyd was losing an assistant. And he asked me to be his assistant because at the time I had just completed the first season of Kabuki Man's Cocktail Corner, the web series that we did for Troma, starring Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD as a talk show host. And he liked that. He saw that I was willing to work crazy hours. I was working 12, 16 hours even when I wasn't even an employee. So he snatched me up, and from there it grew. I like to say that I did everything at Troma, from mopping the floors and cleaning the toilets to producing the movies. And that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
So
what would you say your most crowning achievement at Troma is?
There's a few. I would say that the absolute pinnacle was producing #Shakespeare Shitstorm.
Oh yeah.
Because one of my favorite Troma movies is Tromeo and Juliet. So to be able to do a spiritual sequel to that movie, it was very special to me, and I was able to develop that project from the ground up. I was there on the very day that Lloyd said my next movie is Shakespeare's Shitstorm, and I was there at the very final locking of the frame of the final cut. So and that was to me more invaluable than any sort of film school that I could ever go to. I mean, watching this master at work, and say what you will about how you feel about what Troma does. Lloyd has been doing it for 50 years,
right?
And he's an absolute master at the genre of Troma. He invented his own genre.
He did. That's very, very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
if
the
you don't like
jewel.
what you do, make a new industry out of it. That's what he did.
Exactly. I mean, if they weren't giving him opportunities, and what he did is he went out and made his own opportunities. He made him and Michael Hers made a new genre of Troma Entertainment, and it's like there's horror movies, then there's schlock, but Troma isn't necessarily schlock. Troma, or not always schlock. Let's say it has a lot of times, at least Lloyd's.
It's a shaped schlock.
A shaped schlock. That's a great way to put it. There's a political message or some sort of an environmental theme that Lloyd finds that he wants to talk about, and then he crafts these crazy stories around it. But there's always something to think about behind Lloyd's madness.
So yeah, going back further into your career and stuff, did you grow up as a fan of this genre of film?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, I'm a little older than most people that I talk to these days. But I was born in '79, so I was very, very cognizant and aware, and growing up as like Freddy was coming to power, Jason, Michael Myers, all this stuff, and it's the old '80s sleepovers and pizzas and horror movies. It was all real and great. And I lived in the suburbs. I lived the whole thing. And I really, like, at first I was afraid. I was afraid of the Thriller video when I was very, very young.
Yeah.
Thriller scared the shit
I mean,
out of me.
it was an extreme video. I mean,
it's so extreme.
They did not have to make an entire movie.
Right? And the eyes at the end and just the whole thing. Even the behind the scenes, I was freaked out watching Michael Jackson get the wolf makeup. So that was like really scary to me as a kid. Then Exorcist really messed me up in the 4th grade.
Well, that's fair.
Bad. Weeks.
I can't eat pea soup ever again.
I haven't eaten pea soup since. I haven't played with a Ouija board since. But then what happened was the first movie that my cousin sort of forced me to watch it, because I guess my mother spoke to him, was like, get him to stop being afraid, so. And we watched Friday the 13th Part 4. Because I was a huge fan of Corey Feldman at the time. I had seen the Ghostbusters, Jesus Christ, not the Ghostbusters, the Goonies, Stand By Me. And I was like, the Goonie Busters. That's actually would be a great crossover.
That'd be a Troma movie, probably.
It would. So yeah, it was like that is what brought me through, is because I basically throughout the movie I was saying, if Corey Feldman is in this, it can't be that scary.
Oh, Jesus.
Little did we know all these years later.
The logic was solid, but
yeah, the logic was solid. It's like Corey Feldman, he's
the most unscary person ever. There's no way he could.
Yeah, he could help me through. So then in the end, when I saw he defeated Jason in such a cool and clever way, I was like, maybe these movies aren't that bad, and that's when it just exploded for me. I became a huge fan of all things horror.
Right. Well, you alluded to the fact, how you lived the whole entire realm of sleepovers with pizza and
he was there
and all of that.
But the whole thing.
Pizza
I was there.
is pizza is not your favorite food. One of your favorite foods is hamburgers, correct?
Cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers.
Yeah, cheeseburgers. Okay,
Right,
not everybody has the aversion of cheese that you do, Patrick. Okay,
I'm very picky about my cheese.
There's a reason it's called a cheeseburger.
And you just so happened to write an original song that we're going to be going into right now. So enjoy. And the song is called Cheeseburger, correct?
Yeah,
that's right. Cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Right. It may make you physically ill, but the rest of us are going to enjoy it. Okay.
Yeah.
You Satanist. Who doesn't like cheese?
This next song, it's not from The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. This song's about my favorite food. It's called Cheeseburgers. Here we go. Cheeseburgers are the best food that I can serve you. Cheeseburgers are the best, dude. Vegans, fuck you. Put the bacon on top, make my heart stop. Leave a pickle on the side with the french fries. If I get a pickle on my burger, there's gonna be murder in a restaurant. I'm finding the chef and I'm gonna kick his butt. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Ow, ow, ow. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Ow, ow, ow. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Ow, ow, ow. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Fucking love cheeseburgers. Fucking cheeseburgers are the best food that I can serve. Cheeseburgers are the best food. Vegans, fuck you. No, I really love you. I wanna fuck you. Put the bacon on top, make my heart stop. Leave a pickle on the side with the french fries. If I get a pickle on my burger, there's gonna be murder in a restaurant. I'm finding the chef and I'm gonna kick his butt. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Wow, ow, ow, ow. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Wow, ow, ow, ow. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Wow, ow, ow, ow. I fucking love cheeseburgers. Fucking love cheeseburgers. Fucking love cheeseburger. Fucking love cheeseburgers. Fucking love. Now, when I'm saying fucking love, it doesn't mean I want to fuck a cheeseburger. It means I fucking love cheeseburgers. Get it straight, motherfucker.
And that was Cheeseburgers by John Brennan himself. So I do have a question about this song. You mentioned in it several times that you don't want pickles at all on your burger. Is that accurate to your true to real self?
It's really a great question. So when I write songs, not all the time do I say the truth about me in them. I say the truth sometimes about universal things. So I've noticed when people get so upset that they get a pickle on their burger that I had to put that detail in there. So the song Cheeseburgers isn't necessarily me being the narrator. It's a guy who loves cheeseburgers, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't never understood the idea because I'm not a very picky eater, as you can probably tell. But when I'm given, like, say that there's a restaurant who's like, our cheeseburger only comes with pickles on it, I say, all right, if that's the way that you feel that I should experience your cheeseburger, I'm down. But there's so many people get so upset about foods and things like that. And look,
you
if
know,
you have
you
an
can still
allergy,
pick it off the cheeseburger when you get served it. You know, right?
You pick it off. You just
it's got some pickle juice in it. I mean, it's not gonna.
I usually trust, cooks or chefs that if this is their way, do it. But yeah, I've experienced a lot of people like, how dare they put a pickle on my blah blah blah, and then meanwhile you're eating like some bun that probably has glued on sesame seeds or whatever the heck's going on.
I was kind of expecting a Swedish chef rendition from you since we were like on the Muppets theme there.
I've heard of the pickle on the burger. I don't know if that's a good one, but that's sort of how I remember it.
Right.
I'm an anti-onion. I hate crunchy onions.
Crunchy
I'm okay with like
onions,
a caramelized onion, but I hate
like
it.
caramelized.
I hate it when they slap this the whole ass dirt apple onion.
Oh yeah,
on your
no,
burger.
I don't like that either, and I'll take
Sticking up
that
the
off.
joint.
But when you caramelize the onions or sauteed onions,
it's a different onion.
It's a different thing. It's a whole different ball game. But it's not often that or actually ever that I don't think I've ever sent a dish back at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I've witnessed people.
I think it's like a dick move. I just usually suffer through it. And if I hated it that much, I may not go back to the restaurant. But maybe the Midwesterner in me, I'm just not gonna send a plate back to the kitchen because that shit didn't fly at my house. I wasn't raised to do shit like that.
Exactly. The only way that I would is if there was like a hair. Or
I was like, if there was like a half of a dead rat in it or something, I'd consider bringing it up. You know,
you can always just pick around it.
If there was like human teeth in it, I'm sure there's a reason for that. I mean, I'm not gonna ask.
That's the gold. The gold.
This place had a Michelin star. I mean, I'm sure it's supposed to be there.
Exactly. I'm in agreement with that. So, yeah, I mean, cheeseburgers, whatever. I'll take them any way you want to give them to me.
So my dad said the best brand of beer is free and cold. The best kind of cheeseburger is free and hot.
Nice. That's a great adage to live by, I believe.
But I guess Patrick's around. Don't expect the cheeseburger. It's gonna be bring your own cheese.
Hey, I used to be in a burger club in New York City. Not exclusive, just like friends, but it grew. It got to be
Are you
like.
allowed to talk about Burger Club? And John mysteriously disappeared.
But no, we went to Burger Club, and there was this one place that refused to give us any modifications, and they were a hamburger. They did no cheese, and it actually was amazing. It was delicious. Everybody liked it, except for a couple of fuckers who were like, "Why wouldn't we be allowed to put cheese?" And that was their complaint. They didn't say if the burger was great. They complained that they couldn't have cheese. Like, go home and have a Swiss.
Where's your pocket cheese?
Yeah,
Pocket cheese.
pocket cheese.
You don't carry a pocket single around just in case?
That's great. Is that a real thing? I
I'm
think
sure
It should be.
it should be pocket.
If they can make those little versions of the condoms that don't get messed up in your wallet, they should make a little pocket cheese.
Yeah. And like
That's
instead of,
missed
you know how
opportunity.
grandmas always bring out the gumballs or something, like the old men are just like, have some cheese, you know.
Cheese, sweetie.
My grandfather always has cheese in his pocket. I don't know why.
He's just excited to see it.
Yeah.
So you've well,
Well, you'll be excited to see him then. After you get disappeared because of this interview.
Over the course of the last 3 years, you've become not only you've composed dozens of songs, well, lots of songs for the last drive-in. Is it usually has it become like a quota almost that per special per season you do X amount of songs, or is it just whenever it feels natural?
Yeah, it started out as just a one thing. Like we didn't plan on having musical numbers or any of that stuff, and it just grew organically. The first time that we did something special besides the theme song and the acoustic theme, Joe Bob wanted to do that Hey Travis Crabtree song, and so from Legend of Boggy Creek. So Austin asked me to learn it. I learned it. We did it. It was really fun to do. Joe Bob had a great time, so he wrote in a couple of other numbers, and Austin found a couple of other places to do it for the actual season. And then since then, it's grown. So now I think last season we had like altogether 3 or 4, which was pretty good. I mean, I'm into it. You know, we got the Chris Jericho thing. We got the Frogtown Blues.
Yeah.
We got the Lizard of Industry, where I got to make some industrial music for the lizard going around during the Tetsuo.
Oh yeah,
that was a lot of fun. I love doing that stuff, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but this upcoming season has some of the best stuff that we've ever done.
Nice.
No
so
joke.
I assume that we fully can expect a numero 2 to this piece to come out.
I don't know. That's a ship. So Ship to Shore Phonoco. You just held up the box set of all the vinyl 45 releases that we've done.
Right.
I know that they want to do more. I know that.
Yeah.
What it is, I don't know yet. But keep your eyes peeled, because I believe that there is stuff coming up this summer.
Okay. This art, by the way, this art was amazing.
It's some of the best.
Beautiful.
So that artist is named Justin Osborne.
Yes.
And he does all the art
that
and
one.
the art. Yep. Everything.
Yep.
Justin Osborne. Look him up. Genius.
He's a great,
like
yes.
the guy is just, and everything he does improves, because when I saw that Christmas art with Reggie and the Phantasm Ball, I got chills. I was like, this is like, forget about the music. People are going to buy it just for the art, you know?
Yes.
Like, this photo is finally going to get Reggie laid in one of the
Probably did.
My man Reggie.
Somewhere Reggie's out there like, thank you, Justin Osborne. Smoking a cigarette.
So what? So this upcoming summer, there's a pretty big event happening in Pennsylvania, Joe Bob's Jamboree, and
that's right.
Hopefully we can nab some tickets. We'll see to make it out there, but it's going to be a pretty big event. It's going to be a three-day event, I believe. Tell us about your what you're looking for that event.
Well, it's July 16, 17, 18, and it's at the Mahoning Drive-In. So what I'm most looking forward to is just going and seeing some movies at the Mahoning. I went there last summer, and then I went there in October to see Trick or Treat, one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah, that's great.
Great movie, and to see it with because not a lot of people know that movie, or it's like, you know, sort of obscure, but seeing it with a crowd at the Mahoning, the movie started and some guy in the back just screams out, "Ragman!" And so you know that these people know the movie. They're just as excited as you to see it. So the Mahoning, it's just like all the people who go there, the regulars, they're just huge movie fans, and it's one of the best movie going experiences that you could have, especially in this time of COVID, where it's, you know, you're basically naturally socially distancing by being in cars.
Right.
It's really to know that Joe Bob is joining forces with the Mahoning to do riffs on some stuff that I think is going to be pretty exciting for people to see live.
Yeah,
it makes me excited, because just as a fan, even if I wasn't working on the show, I would do my best to get there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we definitely want to try to make it out there.
I think it's also important that we heed the warnings in most of these movies and avoid premarital sex as teenagers. Otherwise, you'll get killed at the drive-in too. So
I think so. I think
that's important. I think that's the lesson here.
In Catholic schools, though, all the guys and girls say anal doesn't count. So
I mean, in the eyes of the law, it doesn't count.
If it's not penis in the vagina, you're still a virgin.
As a biologist, I have to agree with this assessment. That's the biological definition.
That's the Bible says that.
If it can't make babies, then it's not sex.
Exactly. So go hump all the trees you want.
Hump all the trees you want. They need the help. They could use your attention.
You know, that's an actual thing called dendrophilia, where the people who actually have sex with trees. And the reason I know that is because I saw this documentary.
I thought you were going to say you were converted. Recently converted.
I was recently converted to dendrophilia.
I'm back on Scientology. I'm clean again, you guys.
Going clean. I saw this documentary about these people, these hippies who actually go out into the woods and have sex with the earth. And it's beautiful in concept, but rubbing your penis up against some tree bark.
I don't know. I'll take their word.
The only way that would be tolerable is like there was some sap or something involved.
There you go, the sap. Yep.
You know what? Maybe we have a dendrophilia. Dendrophilia. We have a dendrophiliac out there in the audience. You can weigh in and let us know how it works. We'll actually probably feature you. We would love to have that conversation. I have many hot takes that we can go on that subject.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks to John, our resident dendro expert here.
When it comes to dendro, come to me.
Before we wrap this up, John, is there anything you want to say to the Last Drive-In fans out there before the season 3 premiere tomorrow night?
Oh, okay. So yes, please. Thank you please and thank you so much for even just watching the show. The only reason that it's still on is because of you guys. The fact that you come when it airs live and you tweet along and you help it trend. That's the only reason we've stayed on the air. Other than the fact that Joe Bob is a genius and the people behind the scenes who make it are very passionate about keeping Joe Bob's legacy alive. So it's really, you guys are just as important as the people who work on the show. And it's a blast to sit there and tweet along on every time that the show plays live, because it's what I would be doing if I wasn't on the show. So I'm grateful to get to interact with you guys, and I'm grateful that you guys help us to stay afloat, because I hope to do this for a couple of more years at least. And write some freaky deaky songs, maybe one about dendrophilia. Who knows?
that's the next project.
It's season 4. That's going to be season 4.
That's going to be the whole theme.
Well, it would have been perfect for season 3.
Oh God. Now we've gone full Muppets.
Yeah, I've gone full.
My
whole life is full Muppets.
We've gone full Muppets. This isn't a threat. This is a promise. We're going full Muppets.
I can say that this season is awesome. It's going to be so great. People are going to love it. And with your support, we can do more. So check us out every Friday from starting this April 16th through, I think, mid or late June. We're going live every Friday.
So it's on Shudder and PBS Kids at 3:00 in the morning.
I wish we were on PBS too.
Right?
I mean, did you guys see that new Creep Show thing? Speaking of Shudder, with the public access of the dead.
Yeah.
Yes, that was an amazing episode.
Man,
the Deadeye, the implications for that universe there. That's it's
so good.
canon-ish. I mean, it's Raimi's brother.
It is, and it's written by Rob
with the
Schrab.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, it's everything about that episode was absolute perfection. So
Right.
It was just missing a Bruce Campbell cameo. That was it.
You never know in the future.
You never know.
Yeah.
That's true.
They could do multiple
They could do anything.
takes. Yeah. So yeah, that's
So
it.
John, where can people find you on the interwebs?
I'm across the board at Bad Techno. So either badtechno.com, at Bad Techno on Twitter, at Bad Techno on Instagram. And I put out my music there. You can find links to all my stuff. I'm sure my link tree is up there somewhere. And
I think I saw you on Pornhub too. I think you're also Bad Techno 69420 on there. So
At Bad
I really like your
Dendro.
recommendations.
Dendrophilia.
Not a dendrophiliac.
Yeah, no. Pornhub. No, I don't really use that. I've graduated, so to speak. Graduated
You
backwards.
just got
in time.
full. Now you're just looking through people's windows again.
Well, no, it actually. Well, wait. Which way do you point? So I recently brought out my VHS collection. So the VHS was the way. That was the way that I started with the.
But if you pause too many times, you crease the tape and you get the lines.
I never pause.
Oh, okay.
Power through every time.
Good.
Even when they show the
Good.
guy's face, you just keep going.
You just keep going. You face blindness. You just wipe those out. We'll fix it in post.
Thanks, John, for joining us. And again, check out The Last Drive-In every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Shudder.
It's not a threat. It's a promise. John will beat you up if you don't support the show.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me. This has really been fun.
Oh yeah, man. It's awesome.
Here we go, this one's called the Driving Oath. We are driving mutants. We are not like other people. We are sick. We are disgusting. We believe in, we believe in blood and breast and beast. Yeah, we believe in blood and breast and beast. If life had a vomit meter, we'd be off the scale. As long as one drive-in remains on the planet Earth, we will party like jungle animals. We will boogie till we puke. The drive-in will never die. We will boogie till we puke. The drive-in will never die. We believe in blood and breath and beast. We believe in blood and breath and beast. Good, embrace, in peace. And we believe in blood, embrace, in peace. Good, breast, and peace, baby, the last drive-in. It's spring and I'm wearing a heavy jacket.